Happy anniversary to everyone in the GBO2 community. This is K9 with a very special review video for the Xi Gundam. Because I figured no one else is going to make a video like this. And also I figured why not end my month-long absence from YouTube with a little nostalgia to my old GBO2 days. So here we go. The Xi Gundam is the first 5-star mobile suit to be added to the game. If you're familiar with the Hathaways Flash, then you know where this Gundam is from. It's a 700 cost general with some fairly unique skills to separate it from the rest of the herd. Stats wise, it has some of the highest HP for a general at 700. But keep in mind that it also doesn't have a shield or active guard, despite it having a shield beam cannon on its left arm. Defense wise, it has some average 26 points to all ballistic, beam, and melee resistance. Range and melee strength are both average for 700. Not great, but also not terrible. Its movement speed is at 145, which can be both a blessing and a curse to pilots depending on your preference for mobile suits, since the Xi Gundam hovers and doesn't walk. Its top speed HMM is at a respectable 230, fairly fast but not the fastest. Then again, it is a general, not a raid. If it was any faster, then at least half of the raids would have a heart attack. Essentially, its stats are what you would expect from what a general should be. Its thruster gauge sits at 80, which is what you might also expect from a suit that relies heavily on its flight skill. Its turning speed at 81 might seem impressive, but keep in mind that its movement speed while hovering, and also while in flight mode, can make it a little tricky not to overshoot your target. When it comes to its weapons, they're nothing all that impressive, at least on paper. The primary beam rifle has 7 rounds, with 2900 per shot. That's also with a 5-second cooldown in between shots, and a 13-second reload time. Its beam saber is pretty standard, 2.5-second cooldown time, with 3000 per swing. Its secondary weapons don't do much damage on their own, but can do a good job at harassing enemies. The 3-tube missile launcher comes with 12 missiles that do 600 for damage. They fire about 6 missiles at once, giving you 2 shots before reloading. On their own, these leave a lot to be desired. I tend to use them in combination with the waist-mounted funnel missiles. These are also very difficult to dodge when out in the open. So far, the best way to dodge these is by running behind buildings and other structures. Then there's the beam cannon. Like the rest of its weapons, it doesn't do much damage on its own. This is more to help open up an opponent to a melee attack. Lastly, there's also the head Vulcan gun. There's not much to say here. It's just a standard head Vulcans. Moving on, while it has an impressive list of skills, these are some of the ones you might be more interested to know about. This unit does come with a level 3 emergency evasion system. That may sound like it will give you a big advantage, or give your opponent a big advantage against you. But keep in mind that since this Gundam is heavily dependent on its flight skill, that means that most of the time it will feel more like a level 2 emergency evasion system instead of a level 3. The Monosky flight unit skill is the suit's flight mode, allowing for actions in mid-air. While active, you won't consume any of your thrusters so long as you don't use your boost. Your boost/high-speed movement consumption is also reduced while active. At the same time, however, your thrusters will not recover while active. And while it's supposed to reduce damage recoil, you can be easily shot down compared to a raid with a similar flight skill. Your melee attacks will also be synced to wherever your reticle direction is pointed. Although, even with this addition, it can still be a little tricky to line your attacks when in the air. While flying forward at high speed for a certain amount of time, the unit enters its flight form. This skill increases mobility, reduces damage from enemy range attacks, and reduces damage from cumulative damage. You can use your primary ranged weapon while activated, and your melee attacks switch to special melee. Because of the high-speed movement, and given the fact that almost everyone has really big guns in 700, it can still be a little tricky to land your attacks. And with this activated, something like a well-placed shot by a support can still knock you out of the sky. So keep in mind that even with this on, you are still not untouchable. The suit also comes with the Pursuit Melee Auxiliary program. This increases your melee damage against toppled enemies by 15%. The only downside to this is that because of the melee attack angles that this suit has, it can be difficult to land your hits on an enemy that's already on the ground. There's also the MS Destroying Attack program. This skill activates after destroying an enemy's suit, after which your unit's thrusters will recover by a certain amount. But keep in mind that it will not automatically recover all of your thrusters, and this skill will not activate if your thrusters are overheated. As for the Raise Counter skill, this skill activates when executing a counter with less than 50% HP remaining, and will trigger a special and more powerful counter. It will also temporarily boost your attack and defense, along with those of any nearby allies. Lastly for this list, this Gundam also comes with the ability to instantly respawn as soon as your infantry is ready to return to the match. It can only do this once per match, and will only respawn with half of its HP. Now, while some of this may sound impressive, along with the 5-star label attached to it. There are some downsides to this suit. For one, it's only able to sortie on the ground and not space. And also, despite it being a 5-star, it won't actually feel all that special in a match. Given its size, and the fact that this suit relies heavily on the flight skill, it can often feel like you're constantly being shot from all directions. Unlike how when the Banshee Norn or even the Fennex were first released and essentially dominated matches in a nearly disgusting manner, the Xi Gundam feels like it's just above the middle of the pack as far as 700 cost mobile suits go. Personally, I think that a 5-star should make 4-star suits sweat a little. On the other hand, this can actually be seen as a good thing, because it really just means that the suit is relatively well balanced as far as new banner suits go. Another issue that I have, and this is not limited to the Xi Gundam, but for many other suits in 700, is that some of these 4 and now 5-star mobile suits should realistically be in 800 cost lobbies. But I suppose I could understand BB Studios maybe not wanting to increase the matches to 800, since there's only so many hours in a day and week to let players play in different cost ranges. And as of now, 200 cost matches are practically extinct. With 800, I suppose 300 would also go the way of the dodo. That all being said, the suit is actually a lot of fun. Yes, it technically has unlimited thrusters while passively flying, but it's a big target, and its weapons, at least on their own, don't do a lot of damage, meaning that it's not exactly overpowered. Its flight form skill also allows it to break the Arctic-based meta of always having to play Ring Around the Rosie at the start of every match. While I'm sure more skilled players can do a lot of damage with it, for the most part, I don't see it being much of a headache, as other suits were when they were first released. At least for me, anyway. True, everyone is at a different skill level, but keep in mind that I've been away for a while, so I am a little rusty. That about does it for the review. Have you managed to pull for the Xi Gundam yet, or are you still on the ropes? And did any of you take my advice on saving your Go tokens for the anniversary? It's good being back, by the way. Not sure when I'll do another GBO2 video, since this was more for the anniversary event. I also always wanted to review a mobile suit on the same week it was released. As always, this has been Mobile Suit K9, saying, hey, BB Studios, call me if you need help making videos for your mobile suits. I take cash and 5 gunpla per video. Laters.